Thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who have overcome or those who are in the process of overcoming any life topic. We have three objectives with this podcast series. Our first objective is we want you to know that whatever you're experiencing in life, whatever you're encountering, you're not alone. We want to join you to let you know that we together can help you through whatever challenge you may have that at the time may seem too difficult to be able to overcome. Our second objective is to help you determine with a very confident resolve there are multiple solutions, multiple factors involved in any life encounter. It's a matter of thinking into and thinking through the life situation you are encountering to determine the various options, the various solutions that are available to you. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If whatever you're experiencing is a result of a decision you made sometime in the past, such that if you had a life redo, you would make a different decision, we want to help you determine the objective facts and factors to evaluate to help you reach a more informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty. Together, we are the Cooper Culture, and the Cooper Culture is sponsoring this podcast series. Today, we feature Eric Coon, a financial planner, who talks to us about financial discipline and how to overcome some of the financial stresses that some people endure. We seem to be in a period of time, Marty, when some people are not at all concerned about saving, making sure you have the cash in hand before you can purchase. There are some who have gotten themselves into significant debt and creating stress in their life, their relationships, and so forth. Eric is going to be talking to us on several episodes about how to overcome some of this financial stress. Marty, what are some takeaways our listeners can gain from this?
Ron, I grew up on a farm, and my parents did not have a lot of money, but I watched my dad save money, budget their money. When I started working, he told me, just save $5 out of each paycheck. I did that, and I saved my change. We, as a married couple, watched our budget, and we went through a period where you didn't have a job for 15 months. But if we would not have been frugal about our money and debt and all that, those 15 months would have been very hard. So what Eric is teaching today is very wise and a good lesson for people to hear.
It's a financial discipline, Marty, and you had it. I think we have exercised it. Let's listen to Eric and see just what we can gain from this. Eric, it's good to have you with us. And Eric, I am not a certified, nor am I in any amount of training a financial planner, but Marty and I have lived enough of a life to where we, just as a matter of discipline, having been raised on a farm, we have always been taught you never spend more than you make, and you just always save. And so that is just something that has been a part of our life. Marty and I are at a point in our life where we do have choices. This podcast series, as an example, is a choice that we choose to make. We are not rich by any standard, but I will say that we are living a life that we have the choice of doing anything we want to do. And we are living where we want to live. We're doing exactly what we choose to do. And if that is a source of freedom, so to speak, that appeals to our listeners, Eric, I think it'd be good to discuss what some of those financial principles are that can help people have choices in life, that freedom. But my observation, and you're in a better position to verify this if it's true, there are a lot of people who are living a life of what I consider an unfinancially disciplined life, or they're living a financially out of balance life. I can tell you that some things that I've heard that it's going to take nearly $1.2 million of savings to be able to have a comfortable retirement. But most people's net worth is something only around 200,000 or so. I have reason to believe, because of medical science, the number of centurions is going to pretty significantly increase. That is, we're going to have an increasing number of people living beyond 100 years. And Eric, I just have a thought that there may be some people who outlived their money, that they did not save enough in the beginning. And gosh, what's that going to do to some people? We're going to have to move back in with son, daughter, or something like that, pitch a tent in the woods. Eric, over to you. I'm not a financial planner, but is anything I'm saying resonating with you as a financial planner?
Well, Ron, I just want to thank you first for inviting me onto this podcast. This is a very important subject. Financial discipline and having general principles in place. Yes, you're exactly right. The majority of the people in our country today are, first of all, well in debt, more than they should be, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're not saving enough, and they generally don't have enough to retire on. And the process really takes years to build. To get to the place that you want to have financial freedom, you really have to start thinking about that not when you're 60 years old. You need to be thinking about that when you're in your 30s and you have the time to build the nest egg up. It's like anything else. You plant a seed, it's got to be watered. It's got to be taken care of in order for it to grow fruit. And it doesn't happen overnight. Just like you didn't get into debt overnight, you also need to know you need to get out of the debt, but you also have to grow your nest egg. And you have to be able to grow it with discipline. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that principle, and that we really need to look at, everybody needs to look at their finances in a new way. So after over 30 years of experience in this business, working with many, many clients and sitting down and looking at their finances, we've been able to help clients who want to be helped by simply evaluating everything. You have to be, just like if you go to the doctor and you have something wrong with you, you don't go in and just say, "Hey doc, my knee hurts." He's going to ask you other questions about why does the knee hurt? What did you do? And he's going to maybe draw blood. And he's going to do some evaluation. Your finances need to be evaluated at the same way. We cannot just assume everybody is painted with the same brush. Everybody's different. Their finances are different. How they pay their bills are different. How they live, where do they spend their money? All of this has to be viewed upon and coached if you want to get to that financial freedom of having enough money to retire comfortably.
Eric, I think it'd be good to mention up front that we will be talking some general principles. And because, just as you said, everybody is different, everyone has unique needs, to go from the general topics we're discussing to their specific situations, I'm going to recommend they call you, Eric. You will develop with them the confidence that everything about our individual finances is very personal in my income, my expenses, my needs, and so forth. So this will be talking some general principles. And in the context of general principles, my observation, Eric, and tell me if you see the same thing, is that too many of us have what seems to be an immediate gratification kind of thing. I see it, I want it, and if I can somehow, even over time, pay for it, I may just go ahead and commit to it now because, well, I want this, whatever it is now. And that may be at the expense of having the money that you may advise you ought to be putting that toward the future, not spending it on something that is particularly depreciable right now. You're going to pay an amount for it now, and X years from now, it's only going to be worth maybe 30% of what you paid for it.
If that. And you're so right, Ron. That's, today people are just living for the moment. They're not looking into the future. They're saying that's too far out for me to see that. So they're living for the gratification of, let me get what I want today. I want to go out and eat every night, or I want to go out and eat 3 times a night. I want that car. I want that computer or the whatever it is, they want it and they want it now. They may not be able to afford it now, but they're willing to put it on a credit card to have it now, and then pay 25% in interest for that particular item. And there's no way that you're going to get out of that. I mean, at 25% interest, are you kidding me? That money could be earning 10% interest instead of losing 25% interest. People have to start thinking differently about how they want to live and how they want to retire, because eventually when you get to that place, it really comes down to, what do I have available to do this? Can I go and live where I want to live and retire comfortably and be able to do some of those things that maybe it's travel, maybe it's golfing twice a week, maybe it's whatever it is. Many people today, unfortunately, aren't. And you see so many people are still working because they have to, not because they want to, but because they have to work.
Let me just give you a little bit of personal experience here, Eric, and for our listeners, that there may be some people who are thinking that, well, when I'm in my 60s, my expenses are going to significantly decrease, and the amount of money I have is, we're going to be able to make it. Well, and if we ask, well, can you give me this? Well, I'm just pretty certain somehow, some way it's all going to work out. Let me just tell you that Marty and I have more than 60 years life experience. That's another way of saying we are more than 60 years old. Let me tell you that your expenses likely are not going to decrease more than, I would say, maximum 15%. Because think about it this way. If you continue to live where you're living, if you're going to continue to eat nominally the same amount, if you want to go out to eat, entertain, nominally the same amount you are now, your expenses are only going to be 10, maybe 15% less than what you're spending right now. And so if you think that your expenses are going to be significantly less when you retire or you're no longer traveling to work, let me tell you that it's not going to happen. Your expenses are not going to reduce 70, 80% or so to where you can live within whatever money you're bringing in. You're not going to reduce your expenses by a significant amount unless you move out of your house, and add a whole bunch of other stuff. But all of those unlesses, to me, Eric, mean you don't have the choice to do what you want to do. You're being forced to do something because, would it be fair to say, Eric, you just didn't plan early enough in life to develop the discipline that could have later in life given you those choices?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's you're right on. People feel exactly like you said, when you retire, hey, everything's going to be reduced. I used to think that way, to be honest with you. But from years of just looking at other people and how they have grown their money, and I'm not talking about the very rich people who inherited lots of money. I'm talking about the people who had the discipline in order to make it to where they now have that $1 million. Okay. And they use years of experience, and they use their years of understanding how money works. Inflation, taxes are not going away. These things will be with us even when you retire. And the inflation is a hidden tax. It eats away at the value of your retirement funds and what it can buy for you. And if all of a sudden you're working, making $100,000 a year, now you're retiring and you don't have $100,000 a year coming in, and you're expecting to retire on $30,000 a year of income, if you still have the same expenses, that equation doesn't work very well.
You're right on. Eric, very similar to inflation in the context of those expenses over which we have no control, largely our health can be that as well. The older we get, I think nominally we can just say that the greater the likelihood we are going to need more medical attention.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. All the healthcare plans and so forth that are being discussed right now, what will it cost you to have the healthcare you want? And then if you are in a position where you say, no, I don't need healthcare, okay, if you have an unknown medical expense, something happens, are you going to be able to pay for that? Or are you going to say, well, nope, someone else is going to have to do that? And I wonder who that someone else is.
It's the taxpayer.
How about that, Eric?
You and I are going to be paying for all that. And it's sad. I mean, the whole Medicare plans that are out there for their seniors, they want to use that to give the money to everybody for health care. Well, they're not going to be able to do that because the money's running out. They have to, the government's going to have to do something in order to continue to fund Medicare for seniors and everybody else. If you're going to give that as a free health care to everybody, how is that going to pan out for me when I want to retire and I need health care? What is that cost going to be? If I need that surgery and that surgery is $50,000, $100,000, how am I going to be able to pay for that? Is that going to put a burden on me that I have to pay $2,000 a month for a long, long period of time in order to pay off that $100,000 debt? Well, a lot of people may not be able to do that. So you have to plan ahead of time. Now starts the time when you need to break down, what am I spending money on? Where am I saving money? And how am I investing my money in order to build a big enough nest egg that I can fund these things that may come down the path? And we have ways we can do that. We have ways to show you how you can accomplish those goals. There are tools available, but everybody's different, and we have to take everybody as a like I said, we have to sit down with everybody and break it down for them so that they understand it on their level. And so we really break things down very simply. We break it down to the lowest denominator, and then we try to build from there, and we try to help people who are interested in getting out of debt and then reinvesting the money they were spending on their debt, reinvesting that money to grow their nest egg and grow their retirement. And it's not that hard, but it's discipline, and it's changing your mindset. I know that Warren Buffett, everybody knows Warren Buffett, the richest man in the world, right? It's interesting. He has 9 frugal habits to save money. And I was so interested because I read a lot about these things. So some of these things, he's got these 9 things. He has lived in the same house he purchased in 1958. In all the money he has, he could buy multiple homes across the world. But he didn't. He doesn't. He says, no, that's not the good discipline of my money. I bought the house. I don't owe any money on it anymore. I'm taking that money I would spend on my house, and I'm investing that money. And now that money is now earning me 10, 20%, or whatever it might be that he's investing in. He rarely takes out any loans. He only does it if he knows that the loan is going to provide him, like you said, good debt or bad debt, depending on what it is, he's using that money to make money. Okay? He's leveraging that money to make money. Number 3, he buys breakfast and other meals cheap. He doesn't pay for chefs to come into his house. He could, but he doesn't. He goes out, he goes to McDonald's and gets breakfast a lot because he doesn't spend the high dollars to go out and buy a $25 breakfast, $30 breakfast. He eats like he's like everyday person. But he's taking that other money and he's investing that money. He buys new used cars. He doesn't buy anything brand new. He doesn't buy a brand. He could, but he doesn't. He buys used vehicles because this way it's depreciated already, and he's using that money and he's reinvesting that money. Number 5, he doesn't splurge on name brands. He doesn't go out and buy the name brand stuff. He doesn't. He's all about, hey, if I can get the same product cheaper, I'm going to do that. He doesn't invest with borrowed money. He doesn't borrow money to invest money. He does what he loves. In other words, basically do a job you love instead of positions that look good on a resume. He only, if your goal in mind is to enjoy life, work where you're enjoying life. Pretty simple, right? He finds creative ways to save and sell things that use or need anymore. Basically save money on higher earning interest products. In other words, he gets away from the higher interest products and he gets rid of those high interest credit cards, products that he gets rid of all that, gets it out of his life. And then he uses cash, not credit. Basically keeps him from spending money that you don't have. Simple discipline, right? Isn't that what we're talking about? Live within your means. Don't need it today if it's not going to benefit you in the future. Why am I buying it? Is it a need or is it a want? Majority of the people buy wants.
For the listener who is resonating with a lot of what we're talking about, the listener who may say, well, you know, everybody in my family has said that you don't keep a vehicle for more than 50,000 miles to trade it in, and who knows, that's a vehicle, a brand new vehicle every 2 years. There are some people who live by that axiom. I personally have, I used to own a 1988 Ford pickup truck. I had 688,000 miles on it. I'm the kind of person who will run it until it has no more value to me, or maybe literally no value at all, and I'll donate it. And so I think what we're talking about, Eric, to some degree, is image. Do I need the latest car? Do I need the latest clothes? Do I need the X tennis shoes that cost $250 a pair because there's image involved in that? Do you see anything like that, Eric?
Oh, yes. Our society has done this to people, and has, the whole Hollywood, gotta show up, gotta be like the Joneses, you know? If my neighbor has this, and by golly, I need to have it, or I can't go around my friends. My friends all are wearing those high dollar tennis shoes. I need to have a pair. You know, we need to get away from that mindset, because just because you think you need it, is it a need or a want? It's really a want. I want that. Do you need it? No, I have another pair of tennis shoes in the closet that are fine. Why do I need to go buy another pair unless those tennis shoes are falling apart? I remember growing up, and I'm sure you do too, when we got a pair of tennis shoes right before school started. My mom takes us out in August. We would get our tennis shoes. Those tennis shoes we would wear not only during the school year, all summer, to the bottoms where the soles were flapping out. That's how much we wore down tennis shoes. But my mom didn't go out and buy 3 pairs of tennis shoes a year for us. You know, it was frugal. My mother ended up saving, did a wonderful job in saving. She did the right things. She ended up, when she passed away, had that money. She could do anything she wanted to. You know, she could have traveled the world if she wanted to. She didn't want to, but she could have. She chose to go ahead and use that money and say, hey, I'm going to help out my grandson, my great-grandson, whatever. I mean, she used that money to help people, but she didn't go travel everywhere, even though she could.
Do you know of someone who's in financial stress? This might be a person who, if not literally living paycheck to paycheck, they are living a life of high risk. That is, if one of the 2 wage earners, if you're in a 2 wage earner family, lost an income, they would be financially strapped. They might be in a position of losing the house. If you're a government worker, if the government shuts down, there are people that can't exist more than 1 paycheck. There's statistics that said if you had a $1,000 bill that came up very unexpectedly, do you have the means to pay for that, or would that put you in financial stress? If you are living a life that is, I sometimes use the term in quiet desperation, because you know you're in a high risk category of being financially out of balance, I hope you will look for financial help. Call Eric or someone of that nature to help you develop the pattern that you need to get out of debt, to reduce the stress. Let's share this podcast with others who need to develop a better financial discipline. You know, it seems to be a lost art, Eric, that used to be that you want something, you work for it, you save your money, and in time you will have enough money to have and whatever it is you want. That adage seems to have passed by the wayside, that save for something and I have to sacrifice or do whatever. I'm used to having things given to me. There's a bit of that mindset. I'm sure very few people would want to acknowledge that aspect, but yet there is the part of that whatever I want, it'll be given to me. I think there is an age-appropriate aspect of financial discipline, that you will have chores, we'll pay you for those chores, and all of these kind of things. And for whatever money you're making, you don't spend more than you make, and you always give a portion of that money to the Lord, our church.
Yes.
Eric, is that almost a lost discipline from your perspective?
Yes, it is. We really lost our way in a lot of ways that way. Yeah, the tithing is important to give back to the church. 10% of at least 10% of your hard-earned money, because the Lord says He'll bring it back to you 100%, 100 times over. And it may not be in money, but it may be in other ways. But He will give back because you've been faithful steward of your money. Okay. Now, some people, we talked before about, how sometimes people don't have the money to tithe, so they tithe their time. And I can tell you that I know people who are in that situation. But once we were able to get them out of some of their financial debt, they could then start tithing their money. Before they were tithing their time, now we can start tithing their money. And we're able to start to show them the light of financial freedom, the light of being able to have control over what your life is and what you're doing with growing your assets. Financial freedom. You got to have financial freedom, and you need control. Many people don't have the control. They don't control their money. They let other people are controlling. Whether that's the credit card company, they really are controlling you. Because now you spent that money. Now you owe that money plus 25%. Who's winning in that battle? It's not you who's winning in that battle. The discipline has got to become back. We got to teach. We need teachers. We need coaches to help people understand this doesn't have to happen. You can be financially free.
Eric, I think we've set up a great framework for several other follow-on podcasts. There is a financial mindset, a discipline. Marty and I encourage our listeners, engage with other people, engage with them. As you see people who are faltering, we're not here to assign blame. We're not here to label anyone.
No.
Rather, we're here to help.
Absolutely.
We're in this together.
We are.
And so if there's anyone who's living a life that we believe to be financially out of balance, we hope we can ask the Lord to work through us, to give us the right time, the right attitude to approach another person, to help them lead a life today that will give them the freedom of choice later in life. And for the person who feels that they're just swimming in debt, there's a way out. There's a way out. Eric, have you ever come across a situation, financial desperation, let's call it that it's impossible? You can't get out of this.
No, it is overwhelming, and it can seem that way. But once you sit down with somebody and say, okay, let me break down, what are you spending your money on? And you start to show them, because most people do not write down their debt. They don't write down their expenses. They get their paycheck, but nothing's there. They don't have any plan. So you have to know, where am I spending my money, and what do I get? What do I not need to spend my money on, and I can get myself out of debt? It's just discipline. It's understanding what's coming in, what's going out, and how I need to change my financial way of thinking and start to go ahead and get myself out of debt. And you can do it. I can do it. I've done it. I was one of the people that was in debt. I said, I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. My wife sat down and said, we're going to take this methodically, each particular thing, and we're going to start paying these off. And we got from paying $6,500 a month in expenses down to $3,500 a month in expenses by simply targeting certain things and getting rid of them, getting them out of our lives, and never going back there again. So that's how you can do it. Anybody can do it. I can do it. You can do it.
I think, Eric, what you're saying is there needs to be a decision. Let's now, not later. Now. Let's assess what is happening in our life. Let's assess what we're doing so that we can have a better look into the future and have the freedom of choice that you and I would want for everybody to have.
Right.
Eric, let's look toward just many other topics. Maybe
Sure.
our next topic would be, how do we develop that financial mindset, the discipline that I cannot, you would, as a financial planner, would say that you just cannot continue to go as you're going, do what you're doing, spend as you're spending, and have the choice in the future to do what you want to do. You as a financial planner, Marty and I, having lived in the amount of life that we have, can give you our honest opinion, not being a certified financial planner, but we can just observe some people living out of balance, and it's not to assign blame or label. Yes, if you're willing to stop and assess and do something different now, any one of us can help.
Absolutely. It really is. And I appreciate, again, you giving me the opportunity to talk to your audience about this. This is a very, very important subject. Our heart, our business, L&E Financial Services, our heart is to help. We want to help people because you don't have to live this way if you don't want to. There is a way out. We can help you. You can contact me at ecoon at lefinancialservices.net. That's ECOON at lefinancialservices.net. And I'll be glad to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, Eric. I'm going to encourage our listeners to do just that. And let's start on a different road to financial freedom, and let's enjoy the peace of mind that we can all have if and when we develop that disciplined mindset.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you again.
Financial challenges is one of the topics that is a leading indicator of a stressful marriage, one of the leading reasons that marriages and relationships fall apart. It causes stress in life. Financial challenges are one of the leading indicators of not being able to sleep, and is causing stress across the board in relationships, marriages, work, in virtually every aspect of life. Let's work together. Let's encourage each other to engage with each other, to develop the financial discipline we need to live that balanced life. Having a life of choice is a matter of financial freedom. Everyone has their own definition of what financial freedom is, but having the choice to do what we want is one thing that can help lead to a very fulfilling life. But it is a matter of discipline, as Eric has discussed, as Marty and I have worked together for over 53 years of marriage. It is a matter of having the financial discipline. I think it is a matter of being satisfied, and I'm not saying it's a matter of settling for something much less than what you want, but there are some times that our wants far exceed our needs. Can we live with something that is functionally very satisfactory, even though it may not project the image that we would like to have, or that an advertisement, Hollywood, something of that nature has led us to think that we need, when in fact it's a want more than a need. Let's work together to help others develop the financial discipline that we need to live for the future. It's not giving up, but it is sacrificing. It is living that balanced life to know that we are planning for the future. We want to have a life of choices, and finances are one of the aspects of that choice in life that we have to have. Let's work together. Let's help others to develop that discipline. Again, we'll never label anybody, but we always want to be available to help, because Marty and I both know the total fulfillment of having a life that is very satisfying relationally, but is also very satisfying knowing that we have the choice to do whatever it is we choose to do. Call us at 410-586-1875. Send an email to Ron at thecooperculture.com, or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com, or contact Eric at the email that we have specified in the description. He will be happy to work with you. He is a financial planner. Marty and I have merely lived by the example that he is espousing, but we are not financial planners. We hope we can warrant a 5-star rating on this podcast and this podcast series. We hope you will want to share this podcast with others. We want to, from the depth of our heart, help others overcome financial challenges that cause stress in life, marriage and other type relationships. We hope that you will share this podcast with others on your podcast list, your LinkedIn connections, your email list, whatever it is that you have, your circle of friends. We hope you will want to share this with them so that we can help as many people as possible live a financially free life. And we want to introduce Christ to them to help them live a totally fulfilling and balanced life. And this is what we know would lead to a totally fulfilling life when we are in a financial balance and Christ is at the center of our life. We look forward to working with you. Let's share and let's engage with each other.